Okay, thank you, George. Okay, good evening, everybody. This is a regular East Carnal Valley Water Agency meeting. Pledge. Audrey, could you please do the pledge?
Please stand.
I to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you, Audrey. Holly, roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Audrey Miller.
Here.
Division 5, Robert Paris.
Here.
Division 3, Jay Tremblay.
Here.
Division 2, Keith Dias.
Here.
Division 1, Drew Mercy.
Here.
Division 7, Gary Van Dam.
Here.
Division 4, George Lane.
Here.
General Manager Knutson.
Here.
General Counsel Doug Everts.
Here.
And Holly Hughes present.
Thank you, Holly. Voluntarily public roll call. This time, anybody from the public wants to introduce themselves?
John Ukestead.
Thank you, John.
Cephas is here. Sorry about that. White
Thank
fence,
you, Jack.
white fence 3.
Anybody else? Okay, public comments? Items not on the agenda?
I have one comment. Jack Cephas, could you hear me?
Yep, go ahead, Jack.
I hear that the Sierras are getting a snowstorm, so perhaps we're going to get 100%. Yeah,
Oh, I hope
I figured they'd get a chuckle or two.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, I do too.
Hi, Jack. This is Matt. We did get a bump in our allocation from 30% to 45% about a week
Good.
ago.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Jack, this is Rob. Just a reminder, Friends of the Fair meeting noon on Thursday. Don't forget.
What's the date?
Well, it's Thursday, so what's today?
28.
28. Thank you very much.
May
Thank you.
28th at noon.
Thanks for the reminder. I do appreciate that.
You're welcome. Hope to see you there.
Yep.
Thank you. Moving on, number 6, adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
Mr. President, this is Rob. I'll move to adopt the agenda.
Got a motion from Director Paris and a second.
Director Miller, second.
Director Miller, a second. Any public comments? Any board?
Sorry, George, I meant Mr. Vice President.
Okay.
Any board discussion? Holly, roll call vote, please.
Audrey Miller.
Yes.
Robert Paris.
Yes.
Jay Tremblay.
Yes.
Keith Dias.
Yes.
Drew Mercy.
Yes.
Gary Van Dam.
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes.
Motion carried. Consent calendar, action items. I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Mr. Vice President, I will move to accept the consent calendar.
Got a motion by Director
Miller.
Miller and a second, please. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
A
Mr.
second
Vice President, sorry.
by Director Tremblay. Any discussion from the board? Any public comment? Holly, roll call vote, please.
Audrey Miller.
Yes.
Robert Paris.
Yes.
Jay Tremblay.
Yes.
Keith Dias.
Yes.
Drew Mercy.
Yes.
Gary Van Dam.
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes.
Motion carried. Moving on, item number 8 for consider action, Finance Committee. Director Dias.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Finance Committee met last Thursday, and the first item we discussed was the check register list for the period of April 30th, 2026 through May 13th, 2026. And I'll ask General Manager Knutson to make this report.
All right. Thank you, Director Dias. Good evening, board. So begin on page 30 of your board packet is the check run for this period. covering April 30th through May 13th. First item on the list is our monthly payment to Department of Water Resources. It's a little over $1.8 million, and this is our fixed payment for the month that is based on our 2026 statement of charges. Also on the first page, you can see a handful of credit card expenses for each of the managers. My credit card and Holly Hughes' credit card has been reviewed by Vice President Van Dam. The others have been reviewed by me, and some detail associated with each of those credit cards is attached to the checklist. If we move on to the next page, item 40 is a principal and interest payment for our 2016 refunding bonds. That's just under $6 million. Again, that's our principal and interest for those bonds. And then item 41 is the principal and interest payments, about $950,000, and that's associated with the 2017 California Renewable Energy Bonds, also known as CREBs. That's associated with our solar project. We go on to the next page. Item 49 is a payment to Antelope Valley Water Master, about $8,500. That's associated with AVEK's rights to produce imported water return flows. So in the judgment, we get some return flows for imported water that's used for parties that are not listed on Exhibit 8 of the judgment. And this year we were calculated about 890 acre feet. So we have to pay our fixed admin assessments on those imported water return flows. And those are the highlights I wanted to point out.
Recording
Happy to
in
answer any
progress.
questions. Oh,
Sorry.
happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, Matt, you did a really good job on your credit card. You're the lowest here that I see.
Yeah, I'm pretty frugal.
I used to probably know who Holmes is, but theirs is 4,000. What's the Holmes?
Yeah. Doug Holmes is the assistant manager of operation. He oversees the maintenance
Doug,
department.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and how come his is so high? I mean, he might have bought, I have no idea. Just like John has to buy some really expensive stuff sometimes.
You remember off the top of your head, John?
So, 3,000 of that is 2 air quality monitors. When we go into confined spaces, we have to monitor the air. Joe Roberts, our engineer, did not have one. Every time he went in, he had to borrow one. So we got him one. And Quartz Hill really needs 2, so we got them a second one.
Yeah,
All right.
it's
Thanks, John.
a lot higher. Thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Director Dias.
I'll make a motion, we approve Board Order 8A1.
Got a motion by Director Dias and a second, please.
Well, I'll second it, Mr. Vice
A
President.
second by Director Tremley.
This time.
Madam Secretary, can I get a roll call vote?
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris.
Yes.
Jay Tremblay,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Drew Mercy,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes?
George Lane.
Yes, I had one comment I missed there, but on that solar, in years past, we've talked about it a little bit, but you know what reminded me, we have our payment coming up right now. And if we could do just a little work, or maybe Teresa could, about any savings we're receiving from that, if that's possible. There's no big hurry, but sometime in the future.
Yeah, President Lane, yeah, we track that on pretty much a monthly basis. So yeah, in the upcoming meeting, we can give a report on the savings to date.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, President Lane. Motion carried. Moving on.
The next item we discussed was the treasurer's report for the month ending April 30th, 2026. And I will ask Finance Manager Yates to make this presentation.
Okay, thank you, Director Dias. Good evening, directors. Looking at the treasurer's report for April, The average yield to maturity for the total portfolio was 3.825%, which was down 0.019% from March. The average days to maturity was 159 days, or approximately 5 months. And total cash and investments at April 30th was almost 183 million. That was up 13 million from March 31st. And the reason for the increase was during April, 15.2 million of property tax revenue was received. And if we go to the next page, Holly, one more. Okay, so this is a comparison of the property taxes that we've received to date this fiscal year as compared to last year, the same time period. So the first column is the current fiscal year to date. So July 1st, 2025 through April 30th, 2026. 28.5 million from LA County has been received and 17.9 million from Kern County. Same period last year, 27.6 million from LA County and 15.6 million from Kern. So a total difference of about 3.2 million increase, or a total increase of about 7.4%.
Just for the public to know, we haven't increased our taxes. This is an increase in
The assessed value.
assessed value
Yeah.
in those counties, right?
Correct. And our property tax consultant is working on getting us information on renewable energy and how those assessed values affect our taxes.
Great.
So once we get that, we'll pass that along.
Thank you very much. Could you explain what that meant? We discussed it in Finance Committee.
Yeah, so in Kern County, we get a lot of property tax revenue from the renewable energy, whether it's wind or solar. And those are unsecured mostly because of the equipment that they're being taxed on. So we've asked the property tax consultant to give us an idea of what that is for those sources.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Used to be a larger difference between LA County and Kern County. And I think a lot of it has to do with the solar.
Yeah.
That difference is getting closer all the time.
Yeah, agree.
Yep.
Okay, I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Any questions for Teresa? Do we need a motion on this?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
I'll
can I
make
get
a
a motion, please? Thank you,
Make
Teresa.
a motion, we approve the treasurer's report.
Mr. Vice President Drew will second that motion.
So I didn't hear, who had a motion?
Director Dias.
Director Dias made a motion, okay, and a second, please. Director Mercy? Okay, second, roll call, or, hold on. Okay, any discussion from the board? Public discussion? Holly, roll call vote.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
Jay Tremblay,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Drew Mercy,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes,
George Lane.
Yes.
motion carried. Moving on.
The next item we discussed was a purchase order with Aqua Aerobic Systems Incorporated for rebuilding 2 ozone generators at the Roseman Water Treatment Plant in the not to exceed amount of $323,000. And I will ask Operations Manager Bozigian to present this item.
Thank you, Director Dias. Good evening, board. So a little background. As part of the 2008-2009 disinfection byproduct project, DBP project at AVEK, AVEK pre-purchased ozone systems for all 4 treatment plants to help with water quality. Fuji Electric was the builder of these systems. They've since sold the ozone arm of their company to Aqua Aerobics. So this is proprietary equipment. We've rebuilt the units at the Quartz Hill plant, at the Eastside plant. Now that the Roseman plant is going to be back online, we want to get this rebuilt, the system rebuilt also. So we budgeted $400,000 to do this as part of the approved capital budget for this fiscal year. The price came in at $323,000 for a complete rebuild. And right now, we've been running about 4,000 acre feet of groundwater every year to the north feeder because the Roseman plant's been offline because the west feeder's been damaged. We've since repaired the west feeder. We want to get state project water back through the Roseman plant, so we're not unnecessarily pumping groundwater that we don't need to. That first slide is just a view of the ozone piping, everything that goes into generating ozone. You have a lot of electricity and liquid oxygen, and that creates ozone gas, which is a good disinfectant, and it also helps filterability and removal of THM precursors. Next slide, Holly. Just another view of the same system. And the third slide will show the units themselves. Next slide there, Holly. Yeah, so those are the big stainless steel vessels. You see there's two of them. We have redundancy at all of our plants. And those are where all the dielectrics are located. Very high frequency electricity is generated, and it creates ozone gas, which is what we use for this system. I think that's it. Is that it, Holly? Is there another slide? Oh, what? How'd that get in there? So that's for Rob's benefit.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome. So, what's high frequency electricity? It's wireless electricity. Anytime you use a remote control, any electric motor you ever use, which uses alternating current, that was all invented by the Serbian immigrant, Nikola Tesla. You think it's a car, you think it's a rock band. Those are all true, but it started with that gentleman. And he died penniless because we hear about Thomas Edison, who was a great inventor, and a thief. So he stole a lot of technology from Tesla. But anyway, we just wanted you to know a little bit about, high frequency electricity. Your car spark plugs, that's all high frequency. That's where this all comes from. Anyway, be happy to answer any questions. We hope to if we get this approved, they should be on site by the end of this year. You have to get them on the schedule. They're a very busy company, but we want to get this unit back up and running. So be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for John? I've got one.
Sure.
Did we go out to bid for this or?
Well, it's proprietary, Gary, so there's really nobody else that can do it.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it has to be them. Yeah.
Does Roseman have that one chamber for the ozone? Or does it have two of them?
It's got two.
Now, and those are much, much smaller than the ones that you showed me over here, right?
Yeah, quartz cells are huge.
Yeah, okay.
Quartz cell was a little bit less expensive because we had so many spare parts, but we've used them all up. So now this is why this is a little more than we thought, but we're still under budget.
Yeah, 75,000 under, pretty good.
Thank you, John.
You're very welcome.
Can I get a motion on 8A3, please?
Good picture.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion by Director Tremley,
Yeah.
I'll second it.
a second by Director Miller. Any comment from the board?
My comment is that I hope all the staff are listening to Mr. Scotty's way of working. Overestimate. So when you come in lower, you've been a great.
Everybody's happy.
It's very hard to thread the needle, so we try to pad it just a little bit, but not too much.
And the spare parts.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any public comments? Holly, roll call vote.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris.
Yes.
Jay Tremblay,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Drew Mercy,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes.
Motion
Thank
carried.
you.
Thank you.
And that concludes the Finance Committee report, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Director Dias. Okay, moving on here. Are we at the Water Master? Executive, okay.
8B1.
8B1.
Okay. George,
Yes, Gary.
go ahead, George.
On the water master?
Yeah.
No, this is executive.
No, we're on
committee.
item 8B1.
8B1.
George is the chair, but
I
Yeah.
can take the lead on this.
Okay,
right now,
go ahead.
Hey,
Matt.
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Matt, please.
Thank you.
Sorry, George.
So this item is consideration and possible action on letter of support for Palmdale Water District's Monarch Phase 2 funding request. So Dennis Lamro over at Palmdale reached out to me about a week ago, and they're pursuing some grant funding, or not actually grant funding. It's a state general fund appropriation money. They're requesting $20 million to help fund what they call the Palmdale Water District Monarch Phase 2 project. And this is associated with the Pure AV Water project, which is their recycle water project. And what the funding would go towards is called Capture 6 technology, where they're working with a vendor to rather than have a brine that goes to waste into evaporation ponds, they're going to take that brine waste stream and try to get as much water out of it as possible to put through the beneficial use process of their recycle water project. And in combination with that, it is supposed to reduce the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere through this technology. So it's pretty innovative. We've submitted letters of support for their various projects in the past. On page 60 of your packet is a draft letter that we're seeking approval for tonight. I did my best of trying to trim it down to the basics of, simply saying that we're supportive of their funding request. It had a lot more detail into the project benefits, but without us being able to verify those project benefits, I didn't think it was appropriate for AVEK to have that in our letter. So I kept it very simple and just saying that we're supportive of their request for $20 million towards this project.
Yeah,
So
I'm just saying, Matt and I, we talked about that letter, and it was pretty detailed right there, things that probably wouldn't come from another agency. And so Matt made it a little more generic, which is much more suited for AVEK.
Thank you,
Thank
President
you.
Van Dam.
Any more questions?
President Wayne.
Any more questions for Matt? Matt, I had a question.
Yeah.
Didn't we write a letter like this in the past?
Yeah, we've done a couple different ones that were for not the specific same project, but associated with their pure water project. So we've done very similar letters in the past. So I personally don't see any reason why we would not be good neighbors and good partners and submit this letter of support.
Okay.
Letter looks excellent to me.
Any other questions?
Right.
Okay. Any questions from the public? Okay, Madam Secretary, roll call vote.
I need a motion.
I'm sorry, could I get a motion?
Vice President, I'll move on AB1.
Motion from Director Miller and a second, please.
Well, I'll make a second.
A second by Director Trimley. Any board discussion? Anybody from the public? Ollie, roll call vote.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris.
Yes.
Jay Tremblay,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Drew Mercy,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes.
Motion carried. Moving on, I believe this one's Committee Chair Dias.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Planning Committee met a couple of weeks ago to discuss the Urban Water Management Plan update with our consultant, Mr. Rob Morrow of Consultants WSC. And Matt, would you please introduce Mr. Morrow? Yeah, thank you, Director Dias.
So good evening again. As Director Dias mentioned, we have Rob Morrow with Water Systems Consulting on the phone. And he's going to walk through a presentation to hit the highlights of where we're at with our urban water management plan update. This is a planning document that AVEK has to update every 5 years. Actually, all water agencies have to update every 5 years. And if you don't remember, Rob Morrow also prepared our 2020 urban water management plan and gave a similar presentation 5 years ago to the committee and board. And we engaged Water Systems Consulting a couple months ago. They've been working hard on preparing the plan. Rob's put together some nice slides for this evening. And there's no action by the board this evening. We just wanted to give an update of where we're at with the plan because the public review draft did hit the streets today, basically, or late last week, where we're seeking public comment. And Rob will go through the findings and talk about the next steps in the plan. So with that, I'll turn it over to Rob. And Rob, let us know and we can advance the slides when you're ready.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, directors. The setup was perfect. So we've released the public draft, and there's a 2-week review period. And in 2 weeks at your next board meeting, there'll be a public hearing where you can take public comment. And then one of the agenda items would then be to adopt this 2025 Urban Water Management Plan and 2025 Water Shortage Contingency Plan. So I've just got a few slides. Please chime in if you got questions, but otherwise I'll just continue through. So next slide, please. So just a couple slides on why we're doing this. But the main thing I want to present tonight is the preliminary findings from the plan, and then just confirm the next steps. So next slide. One more, and then so every water agency that serves 3,000 acre-feet per year or has over 3,000 connections is required to prepare an urban water management plan every 5 years, and they're due July 1st on the 1s and the 6s. So we're coming up on July 1st, 2026. To looking forward 25 years, and it's a lot of it is a template so that similar information is being provided by every agency in the state, so they can compare and see how everyone's doing. But a key kind of the carrot and the stick. The stick part is everyone needs one of these approved by the state to be eligible for state grant and loan going forward. Next slide, please. So the main contents are looking at long-term water supply during with this the plan requirements called normal years, which is really long-term average, and then looking at drought conditions. And there's a 5-year drought risk assessment, and then there's a single-year drought risk assessment. It also looks at water efficiency and conservation. And a related report is the Water Shortage Contingency Plan, which was really beefed up in 2020 as we were coming out of the last drought for agencies to communicate how they would manage future droughts. Next slide, please. So this 2025 plan is an update from the 2020 plan. There weren't substantial updates, mainly just the latest supply and demand projections, and limited updates other than that. So DWR put out its biannual delivery capability report for the State Water Project in December of 2025. So we used the latest projections from DWR on the state. We've been talking with your largest municipal and industrial customers who are also preparing their own urban water management plans. So their supply and demand projections are aligning with what you are presenting as a wholesaler. And then also your team has good insight on almost all your customers as far as their future plans and what may be coming down the pike. And lastly, for some of the customers where we don't have much information from, we're just using general growth projections from 2 sources, the Southern California Association of Governments, which covers LA County, and then the Kern Council of Governments, which covers Kern County. Next slide, please, and we'll get into some of the demand and supply projections. So for the demand projections, as I mentioned, we met with your largest M&I customers, with LA County Waterworks being the largest and having the biggest influence on your projections. Also noted some customers having like Rio Tinto planning to increase use in the future, and the new steel mill coming online. And so capturing those demands, which are greater than historic. And then Tejon Ranch, we've just assumed they're a straight line build out through 2050 of all their stated planned developments. And as you know, predicting the timing of those is tough, but so we just assumed a conservative straight line. And then some customers are staying where they're at going forward, and some are growing. We just assumed at the population rates within LA County or Kern County.
Yeah, Tejon Ranch, I know the board of directors, they have a difference of opinion if when they're gonna do that project, if they are gonna do it, is my understanding. So that may or may not happen.
And I don't have it broken out in these slides, but in the spreadsheets and tables that your team has, we have it broken out by those biggest customers, so they can take this information and use it in the next few years to adjust as needed.
Matt, have you heard a little bit about Tejon Ranch, the residential?
Yeah, as we all know, we've been hearing about the Centennial Project for many years now. That's their large development on the west end of our service area out near the 5 freeway. And every time we've done one of these plans, going back to probably the 2015 plan at the earliest, it's shown that the Centennial Project will be built within coming years. So it's skeptical whether the Tejon Project, Centennial Project, will be built out within this planning horizon, which is 25 years. So, but George, we do have to include the assumption that it could be built at someday, and you'll see in the findings, even with the assumption of that development being built out within this planning horizon, we're in pretty good shape from a water supply standpoint.
But Tejon is not a given, because that's as far as like I said, board of directors really have major stockholders who are questioning that. So it's not a given. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, we're gonna kind of wait and see. For now, we do plan for their demands in our planning document.
Thank you. So next slide. So what this is showing is a couple numbers here. The primary demands you have, of course, are to your customers. And so that's what that Texas orange is showing along the bottom, growing from about 46,000 acre feet up to nearly 68,000 acre feet of demand in 2050. And just following up on the last item, the Tejon demands about 6,000 or 7,000 acre feet of that total. And then there's some other commitments that AVEK has that we just want to make sure we're capturing, and it changes a bit over time. So like the groundwater lease with LA County, or a state water project lease with San Gorgonio, and replacement water for the water master. And so depending on when those agreements, the terms of those agreements, those numbers change slightly. And then the demands for the area, of course, are also met by groundwater. And so we want to note the total demand that's occurring, because if a customer pumps less, then they have more demand from you, or vice versa. If they pump more, they might reduce demand from you. And so we also include that in the projections. And the next slide, we've got these same numbers just presented with the broader context. So there's a couple things on here, so I'll just walk through them. The solid line from starting in 2015 to 2025 is your actual customer demand the last 10 years. And as you can see, it was going up and down a little bit based on primarily the weather, how wet it's been, or whether there's drought restrictions in place. And then we've got the dotted line is the projection that's included. So we're going from about 33,000 acre feet of demand this year to 46,000 in 2030. And really the bulk of the demand, especially in the next 10 years, is driven by projections from LA County Waterworks. And so those are all tied to the pace of development. And so, there's a caveat there that, things tend to go slower than everyone anticipates, but we also need to plan for it based on this is what their schedule is. And there's actually a similar story going back to the previous two urban water management plans. The 2020 plan, which is the longer dash line starting in 2020 going forward. So we're below where that was projected. And again, those increases were primarily driven by LA County Waterworks growth projections. And then the 2015 plan had a really high growth rate with really high demand estimated for LA County Waterworks. So obviously we have not experienced that. And so, as we've talked through this and what Matt just mentioned is we take these numbers with understanding what's behind them and plan for them, but take them with a grain of salt as far as when you start to looking at big investments. Next slide, please. So what this slide is looking at is translating those demand projections to meeting the agency's policies as far as getting through a drought. So the current policy is getting through 3 years at 5% state water project allocation. And the bottom line is how much groundwater recovery capacity you would need to meet your demand with those 3 years of actually a single year of 5% state water project allocation. And then the line above that starting with 114,000 acre feet is the amount of water you want in your bank to get through those 3 years of 5% state water project allocation. And so it shows that growing over time as demand grows, which makes sense. The good news is if you look at where you're at today, you're in a good position. So based on today's demands, you need 114,000 acre feet in the ground to get through 3 years at 5%. And you currently have 155,500 of imported water in the ground. And if you include your carryover groundwater that's available for use, that actually goes up to 182,700 acre feet. So you're in a really good position if a drought started tomorrow. So that's good. And so again, that's something to track over time.
So Rob, I had a question real quick.
Yeah.
So what's our total between carryover and stored water?
The total of carryover plus imported stored water is 182,700.
Okay.
The carryover is the difference between those two numbers, a little under 30,000.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah. All right. Well, if there's no questions, I'll continue on to the supply projections.
So I had one question.
Sorry,
on
go
that,
for it. Yeah.
On D40, does this consider if they ran into a contamination issue with some of their wells?
So so I guess that's one of the reasons we include the groundwater use projections in this, if conditions change in the future. I can't answer that directly. I can say that their projections, which we had discussed with them, assume about 40% of their supply is met with groundwater AVEK water.
It's
similar to
groundwater.
historic. Sorry, Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe just to answer Vice President Van Dam's question, this assumes, this planning document and these projections for AVEK demand assumes a pretty aggressive projection for LA County Waterworks.
Right.
So I think the answer to your question is yes, that, this is covered in the event that Waterworks has to shift more to the imported water versus groundwater.
Right.
So.
And one more question on that, Ridgecrest pipeline. This in no way would affect that?
No.
Okay.
No, we assumed zero supply for Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. We have always required Indian Wells to bring their own water supply. So whatever demand they have, they would have to be purchase and acquire their own water supply. So that is not part of this analysis.
Another question, if that pipeline was to be put in, would AVEK ever consider supplying water to them?
Like I said, we've required Indian Wells to secure their own water supply, but they would need AVEK to wheel the water through our system.
Right.
So we would have to treat it, store it, pump it through our system.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Yep.
If there's
Sorry,
no-
Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We can go to supplies. Are the next few slides. So, again, this is a similar approach as taken previously. The current state projections, DWR projections of the state project are that under current conditions, you'd receive a 55% annual Table A allocation, and in the future, taking into account various factors, that it would decrease to 50%. And again, this is a long-term average. It would go up and down year to year as you've experienced historically. In addition, you have your production rights, which these include your most recently acquired rights, and then as well as imported water return flows, and then non-state water rights, which is the nickel water going through the agreement through 2042. And then if you take those projections and put them and stack them up together, we go to the next slide and we can compare supply versus demand. So the blue line is the demand that we were shown previously, starting 2025 through 2050. And then we've got the supply stacked on top of each other. So what you can see is over time, the State Water Project Table A decreases slightly, but that plus your groundwater are still exceeding the long-term average demand in 2050. So of course it's approaching it at that time. And I'd say this is probably pretty aggressive or on the high end of demand. So you've got a good buffer right now. So long-term average looks good. On the next slide, we look at a single dry year. So this is the projections from the state where the worst case a single dry year would go from 6% today to 2% in the future. So we just assume a straight line reduction over time. And then you still have your groundwater rights. You still have the non-state water project through 2042. And you can see that your recovery water, that's recovery of imported water as well as carryover groundwater, the need increases over time. But as we showed earlier, you currently have the facilities in place to do that, and then there would be a need to grow those over time. So that's just one single dry year. Then in a multiple dry year scenario, what we look at is we looked at a 5-year scenario. So next slide, please. And there's a couple of things on here, so I'll just walk through it real quick. Along the bottom is demand projections for the next 5 years, and then the supplies to meet those demand projections, with State Water Project reflecting its 5 lowest on average years based on the DWR modeling. It averages 15% over 5 years, but jumps up and down based on the modeling of the historic hydrology. And so you see that kind of light yellow gets used in most of those years because you're pulling from the bank to help meet demand. And what the lines along the top are your account in the ground, again made up of imported water as well as carryover groundwater. So you're starting at 182,000. You go up to 191, and then it slowly decreases over time. And you end up using about 80,000 acre feet over those 5 years. Any questions on that? There's a lot of information there. If not, I'll move on to the next slide, which is looking at if those 5-year droughts were repeated over time, how much would you be pulling from storage over that time? And as you would think, you're starting to have to pull out more and more and more over time. But again, going back to where we talked about in the beginning, that with 180,000 acre feet in the ground, then you're in a good position, because even in 2040, we're projecting that you need to pull out 170,000 acre feet out of the ground by that time. And so right now you're in a good position to even meet those future conditions. That is my last slide on supply versus demand. We got one more slide on next steps. So again, issued the public draft late last week. June 9th at the next board meeting, we'll have a public hearing and then separate agenda items to adopt the 2025 Urban Water Management Plan and the 2025 Water Shortage Contingency Plan. And we can take public input during that hearing. And we have put this out in the public, so we may be getting comments over the next 2 weeks. And of course, open to feedback from the board and others. But that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Any questions for Rob?
Yes, this is Director Miller. Can you go back, Holly, to the drought slide, that last drought slide? So Rob, if we have any trouble getting water delivery off the state water project, we would have to look at something like this, where we're using our groundwater bank and not getting anything delivered from up north. Is that true? Or do you have another scenario where if there was a reason why we couldn't get a delivery from the north?
This scenario reflects the worst 5 years that DWR modeled over 100 years, which is 15% allocation averaged over 5 years. So it's not zero, but it's low. But you are still getting some state water in each of those 5 years.
Okay, so if they couldn't deliver at all for whatever reason, then it's going to be more groundwater use, perhaps, depending on the growth of the area. Is that correct?
Yeah, depending on demand, and the chart we had earlier talked about the getting through 3 years at 5% and how much you would need in the ground for that, and it's similar numbers.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, Matt, Director Lane, one thing we haven't talked about at all, we're a supplemental supplier, and we really haven't talked about that or mentioned, that. In years earlier, that we talked about that, and we informed our customers of that, and we seem like we forgot that in the last several years. I think we need to make sure the customers are aware of that.
Yeah, President Lane, if you read the actual document, we did include that in the text of the document. So, and maybe for the actual public hearing, we can pull some of that out and present it as part of the public hearing.
Yeah, I think people need to be well aware of it.
Yeah, we've tried to highlight that in the actual document.
Thank you, President Lane. Anything else from the board?
Mr. Vice President, I did have a question. Rob, this is Rob Paris. Did we do any analysis of how much wet water we need to be flowing through the aqueduct to serve our customers' needs now and projecting after we have the new SNP line?
So Rob, I can take this.
Yeah.
So, we looked at, a single, the worst scenario we've had is a 5% year, or we've had 2 consecutive 5% years. So we looked at, a single 5% year and how much water we need to physically pump out of the ground and move throughout our system. So we're in pretty good shape in a single 5% year with our groundwater pumping capacity, taking into account that demand is going to be reduced during an event like that. But we do not have water systems consulting analyze the pros and cons of SNP phase 2. I mean, that's more of an internal analysis that we can go through.
No, I understand that. I mean, but when we're looking at these projections, don't we need to look at how much water we need coming through the plant and where we're going to get that water to be able to fulfill our customers' needs?
Yeah, and we look at that on a constant basis, kind of, so we can share that with the board.
But it's not part of this.
It's not part of this because
and
it's not part of the DWR guidelines.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Great. Any more questions? Well, thank you, Rob. Great presentation.
Yeah, good job, Rob.
Appreciate it.
Go ahead, Director Dias.
And that would conclude our committee report. Thank you.
And that was for information only, so no action.
Okay, no action reported. So moving on, we're now at the Water Master. Chair Rob Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, and I'll turn this over to Justin.
All right.
Go.
Thank you, Director Paris. Good evening, Vice President Van Dam and members of the board. So there is a Water Master Board meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. And as we've done in the past, we're just going to review a few of the items on the agenda for tomorrow and give the board an opportunity to provide any feedback or guidance to our representative, Director Paris. Next slide. Oh, there we go. So the first item that we wanted to discuss tonight is the continued discussion on the carryover storage and recovery agreement public hearing. So there is a resolution on the agenda to approve a form of carryover storage and recovery agreement. Associated with that, also the 2026 annual production reporting form, as well as an application to convert carryover water to stored water. So since the last meeting on April 22nd, Water Master General Counsel took input and feedback from the board that they received at that time and updated the carryover storage agreement based on that feedback. A public hearing was set for tomorrow to hear any additional comments on the carryover storage agreement template. And after that public hearing, the board can consider approval of the revised carryover storage agreement. Along with that, they'll consider approval of the annual production reporting form, which would now include a line item to show the production of carryover water or stored water, sorry, as well as an application to convert carryover to stored water. So all 3 of those items will be under consideration by the board tomorrow. These were discussed with the advisory committee. Some comments came in from Stan Powell, I guess the day before the advisory committee was held. And due to the timing of the receipt of those comments, the advisory committee did not take any action as far as support of this. So I think it'll be up to the board to kind of listen to any feedback that they receive from the members of the public and consider approval of the template agreement.
Any questions for Justin? Julie, you have any comments? I know we were in that advisory meeting together, and yeah, you're right. Stan Powell came in at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon with a letter. It kind of caught everybody off guard.
Myself, Galen, and others who had spoken were ready to accept the package as it was. And applying what Stan said, I didn't have time to review it for the day before.
All right. So see how it goes. I mean, I think the general counsel will probably have some comments on on what Mr. Powell submitted. You know, it seemed more related to the legal language that was included in the carryover template. So maybe we'll see what they have to say.
Okay.
Next slide, Holly. And so then there will be a review of the revised 2026 fee schedule and the potential to set a public hearing. So the new fee schedule will be discussed by the engineer, which incorporates fees that are related to the application for carryover water converted to stored water. So those fees are based on the engineer's estimated effort for review, water accounting, and material injury analysis. And the board will consider setting a public hearing on June 24th, 2026 for those fees. And then when there's a few applications, so 3 new production well applications. These were all unanimously supported by the advisory committee. First one, Teodoro, 1 acre-foot of production in the Central Antelope sub-area, roughly Avenue J and 80th Street West. So single-family residence with 400 square feet of irrigated grass, shade trees, some horses and chickens. The engineer says this is not an area that's experienced subsidence within the past 10 years, and they find negligible material injury. Second one is Jerry Cook, also in the Central Antelope sub-area, 1 acre-foot of production near Avenue E8 and 70th Street West. Another single-family residence with a detached garage and 500 square feet of landscaping. The engineer stated that this is an area with low subsidence risk and also found negligible material injury. And the last one is for Wilbert, 0.5 acre feet per year of production in the Central Antelope sub-area on the east side near G8 and 70th Street East. Single family residence, some trees and plants on a 2 acre lot. Again, the engineer found this to be negligible material injury and in an area of low historical subsidence. So again, these were all unanimously supported by the advisory committee, and we see no reason not to approve these applications. Then there are a few transfer applications. First from AVEK to the city of Palmdale for 567 acre feet of one-time carryover. This is the associated with AVEK's agreement with the city of Palmdale related to the Joshua Ranch development. The city of Palmdale currently has no known point of extraction, and the engineer recommends approval on the condition that they submit a new point of extraction or subsequent transfer application in the future before the water is pumped. And then the last one is RTS Orchards to Oro Vista Farms, 1,350 acre feet of one-time carryover as a one-time transfer in the West Antelope sub-area between 2 shared wells. No change in location or amount of production, and the engineer found this to have a negligible material injury. And again, these 2 applications were unanimously supported by the advisory committee as well. So we see no reason not to support them also. And that is it for the Water Master board meeting for tomorrow, unless anyone has any questions.
Any questions for Justin?
Tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Justin.
Yep.
Thank you, Justin.
Director Paris, anything else?
No, I think that.
Thank you. Moving on, number 9, General Manager's report.
Good evening. Got a couple items. First one, just a water supply update. You probably all saw the email that our allocation was increased from 30% to 45%. So good news for AVEK.
Who's winning the bet?
So that's on the slide too. We'll get to that.
Oh.
So 45% equals about 65,000 acre feet of table A for AVEK in 2026. That's in addition to the 20,000 acre feet of carryover that we started a year with. And we have about 158,000 acre feet of stored imported water and 27,000 acre feet of groundwater supply. So as Rob Morrow mentioned, we're in really good shape from a stored water standpoint. So to get to the big winner, you can see the list of the directors there in the table and what they guessed several months ago. And Director Miller is the big winner for 2026.
Hey, congratulations.
In the mountains that we get water from. Not over till when?
Yeah.
Can they still?
Typically May is the final allocation. I guess it could always change, right, Tom?
Still be a little negative,
Very low chance.
but it,
So,
yeah, if
So
it
we're-
may, I'll take it.
yeah.
My invisible,
And same prizes as before, absolutely nothing. So,
just the coup.
yeah. And, based on the increase in allocation, the roughly 85,000 acre feet of imported water we have available to us this year, we're putting together some options that we'll bring to the committee and board, hopefully in the next meeting, to talk about whether we bank it or we increase our storage in San Luis Reservoir for next year in the event it's dry, or if we want to try to market some of that water supply. So we'll bring back some options, hopefully at the next meeting, and have a discussion and get some direction from the board. Next slide, Holly. Oh, I'm sorry, Jay, did you have something?
Sounds good.
All right. Upcoming events, we have the Water Master meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. here at AVEK or on Zoom. We have the Antelope Valley Rural Museum fundraising event on Saturday at 5 p.m. We are scheduled to close on our refunding bonds on June 1st. So everything's still on track to make that happen. And we have the Antelope Valley State Water Contractors Association board meeting coming up on June 11th at 6 p.m. So that's all I have this evening, unless you have any questions.
Any questions for Matt? I had one.
Okay.
Well, not a question. I talked to Bill Rawlings on that AV Rural Museum.
Yeah.
He said to park in parking lot 6, which is G8. So take 30th down to G8. Don't pull in where the new big event center is going to be. Gate 3, don't pull in there. So you got to go around and park by the Harley building, he said.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Yep, thank you.
Moving on, directors' reports. Any directors' reports? None?
I have none.
Okay. Number 11, attorneys' report. Doug?
Just real quickly, Emily and I are starting phase 2 of the Indian Wells groundwater valley adjudication in 2 weeks. We will be litigating the safe yield of that basin. I will unfortunately need to appear at this meeting remotely in 2 weeks because I won't be able to make it here in time, but I will keep the board posted of that proceeding.
Where's that hearing taking place?
Orange County.
Is it going to be on Zoom or
It
anything?
will be available on Zoom, and I'd be happy to share that link if you'd like to listen in through any portion of
Could
it.
you do that?
Yes.
And how many days is it?
We are scheduled for, it goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of each week, and we're currently scheduled for, I think, 10 days.
Wow. Interesting.
Yep.
Who's the judge on that?
Judge Claster, really smart judge, former Gibson Dunn partner.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there any other directors that want to listen in on that? I guess if there is, get a hold of Doug, right, Matt?
Yeah, or
Yeah,
me.
I'll just share the link
Yeah,
with Matt.
Doug can
Share
share it
that.
with me and I can share it with the directors.
Okay, kind of interesting thing. They're basically, aren't they going through what we went through with just going to adjudicate?
Kind of, it's not full-blown adjudication. It's through a GSA process, right?
Right.
Or,
Well, it's a full-blown adjudication.
yeah, okay.
Is it, what's their total usage of water? every day?
Total usage is in the 20,000s, around 25,000 acre feet, but the issue is safe yield. And there's some very different opinions on that subject.
So minus those two big farmers over there, it's probably
That's true.
10.
That's true.
We won't get into that.
Now, and what I'll do for Matt is there are certain witnesses that I'll say are more important than others. So I'll identify to Matt the schedule of the witnesses and who might be interested in listening to.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Doug.
Mhm.
Request for future agenda items? None? Do we need to go into a closed door session?
We do for items A and B. And if I could just make a comment on item A, it says price and terms for the description,
Okay,
but just want to make it clear in case the public is thinking that we're discussing, purchasing the Willow Springs Water Bank. We are not. We're We're simply discussing a term under the MOU that we're going to modify.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
I'll make a second.
Director Trimley. Any public comment or discussion? Holly, roll call vote.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Ferris.
Yes.
Jay Tremblay,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Drew Mercy,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes.
Motion carried. Take 5 minutes. We'll go into closed session. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Recording stopped. doctors not listening.